Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, November 11th, 2025 committee meetings of the Marple Newtown School Board. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Note that the board just met in executive session to discuss some limited personnel items. At this time, I'd ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And following the Pledge of Allegiance, it's worth noting today is Veterans Day. A good time for our board to acknowledge gratitude for everyone who has served, who is serving, and who has lost their lives serving this country. Thank you. All right, we can start with the Budget and Finance Committee. Ms. Harvey.
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. I am going to get started with 3.03. These are our normal monthly reports, or excuse me, our normal bills for payment here. They reflect the check runs up until last week. For the voting meeting in 2 weeks, we'll have a couple additional check runs. If you have any questions on any of the payments, please feel free to reach out and I can give some clarification. 3.04 is our normal monthly reports. These are all reports in the 25-26 fiscal year, including the budget transfers. At this point, the 24-25 year is closed out, and I'll get a little bit in that in a little bit, but just wanted to share the normal financial reports. Now, 3.05 is a request from a taxpayer asking for a refund of the discount. These aren't as typical. We do have refunds of penalties. The letters attached there for your reference, what happens sometimes is that tax payments get lost in the mail. And when they get lost in the mail, they get sent back because they're after the discount period. The board in the past sometimes have voted to refund that discount if the taxpayer is historically paid on time, which I provided that data as well.
Was there indicia that did she provide proof that there was like a check that was predated for the discount amount?
I called the tax office and was unable to get that for this one, just the history of the tax payments. 3.06, we have some transfers from budgetary reserve. The first one here is for repairs and maintenance of transportation vehicles. These are primarily for our vehicles, and when I'm talking about our vehicles, not our bus fleet, but our vans and our trucks. We had a couple unexpected repairs with a transmission replacement on one of our vans that was costly. In addition to that, there are some repairs and maintenance for the buses. Due to the bus garage project, we weren't able to do our normal maintenance there while it was under construction, so we had to outsource a little bit of it during that time. The next transfer is for the transportation audit, which was board approved last month. Following that one, we had some purchases that we budgeted in the prior year, but the items didn't come in until this year, so now they're an expense to the current year budget. That would include both the wrestling mat there and the pole vault pads, which are required by PIAA to replace. And then finally, we had another purchase that was in last year's budget but was not received until this year, which we need to do some exterior and interior signage as a result of a recommendation from our local police force here. Before I move on, is there any question on the budgetary reserves, transfers? Okay. 3.07, this is a motion under preliminary budget. What this is an Act 1 resolution, not to exceed the Act 1 resolution, and that would be at 3.5%. So I did a little bit of research, and our board has adopted this resolution for, I believe my records are correct, the last 10 years. So it's a way to control taxes, and our index is set to base at 3.5%.
I mean, we'll vote in a couple weeks. I like that. I always think that's a good measure to take early in advance for the taxpayers to see that we're not going to exceed Act 1 if we're able to do so.
3.08 is our audit report. As I mentioned earlier, the 2024-2025 year is closed out. This is a draft because first it needs board approval, and then the actual issuance of the report is delayed just because of when the federal government was shut down. We're waiting on one final report for them for a single audit. Otherwise, we are ready to issue the audit. I will tell you the audit report's included and the required communication for your review. We obviously had an unmodified opinion. There were no significant findings or anything in question. So it was a clean audit. It went very well. It was our first time with this audit firm. We were very happy with it.
It looked good.
That's good to hear. We have a CPA on the board as well. Finally, 3.09, that's a request to establish a scholarship account. It's the creation of the Molly Gold Bond STEM Memorial Scholarship. This will be for, as you can see in the form, a female student pursuing STEM in college in either engineering or life science for your approval.
That's great.
I do not have any other business besides that at this time.
All right, we can move on to Facilities and Transportation Committee. Mr. Desi.
Thank you, Mr. Broker. Jake?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Desi. Before we get started here, I would like to mention that the bus garage project is 90 to 95% done right now. We moved all the buses back from Delaware County Community College last week. I'd like to thank Joel, Joe Sheehan, the entire transportation department, leisure service, everybody here at the administration building. It has been pretty chaotic for the past few months with parking, but we're wrapping that up now and finishing that up in the next few weeks. I'll jump into the agenda. 4-03 is a few change order credits from the Russell Elementary School boiler project that we will receive back on that. The update on that project is we're doing closeout documents, running through punch lists, and that all will be done in the next few weeks as well. 4-04, this summer we renovated the Paxton Hollow Library, and we added a few additional pieces of furniture to that when we spoke with the librarian there. 4-05 is to approve Bonnet Medica Associates with the architectural design of the HVAC rooftop replacement and boiler installation of Paxton Hollow Middle School. 4-06 and 4-07, I'm going to get back to. We have a presentation tonight from Pete Medica from Bonnet Associates. 4-08, facilities use. This is the Independent Youth Football League. This is part of the MGAT program. They are looking to host their championships on Saturday. This will be before there's a board vote, so I was seeing if it's going to be okay. They do get approved at the beginning of the year with the Soccer Association and MJT, but there will be other teams at this. There is an MJT team in this, but I just want to bring it to the board's attention about that, if everybody be okay with that before it gets voted on. They will be paying the fee.
No problem.
And 4-09 is to approve the first reading of the school board policy 810. Is there any questions on the below or the mentioned agenda topics? Okay, with that being said, we'd like to jump into the presentation for the Worrell Elementary School. Pete Medica from Bonnet Medica Associates.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a while. Good to see everyone. Again, as Jake said, Peter Medica with Bonnet Medica Associates. Jake and the administration asked me to come in and give you an update on where things are on the Worrell Elementary School project. We've been working off and on since the project was bid back in May of 2023 to try to realign project scope with budget considerations. So tonight, I'll walk you through some of the scope of the project, some of the phasing of the work, if it moves forward, how that might look, and where we are budgetary-wise and where adjustments were made. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in as we go. Okay, so we have the existing site plan of Worrell Elementary. Along the top of the slide is Highland Avenue to the behind the school as it is on the plan, and Penview Avenue is here at the lower side with the front bus and drop-off loop, and side driveway here is where parents currently come in to this area turn and drop off students. Proposed site plan and work we are looking at for the project is to put additions at the school, and we'll get into detail in the plans, but here at the front of the school would be a classroom addition at the front left side where the current kindergarten playground is located. And at the back of the school, there's the cafeteria. We are expanding the cafeteria and kitchen with an addition there at the back to better accommodate the students with the number of lunch periods. As far as the site work itself, as we do the work around the building, naturally there'll be utility work underground, things like that. So the plan would be to mill and overlay all the paving on the site as we work our way through. So as we finish up, we have clean parking lots for completion of the project. As I mentioned, with the new addition going at the front, there's a plan to relocate that kindergarten playground to the back of the school, more in the flow where the rest of hard surface playground activity is here. But it would be separated, have some fencing to isolate it from the rest of the hard surface area. This is the floor plan, first floor of the building. And what I'm going to show you is the proposed base bid plan, as we call it, and then a concept being considered for some additional classroom space that would be handled through some alternate bidding. So this is the first floor. Here's our main entrance, which would be updated for a secured vestibule. We would have main office area just off to the right side of that secured vestibule. As it's currently set up, the main office is across the hallway, which is very functional, but more ideal to have that direct checkpoint where you can hand credentials directly to main office staff through a secured window there at the front. So we'd accomplish that with this layout. Library would still be at its current location, but naturally renovated. Health suite would be here in that orange location across the hall from the main office and slightly expanded to accommodate current needs. Here at the back, we would have the existing cafeteria expansion. That blue dotted line represents the new addition for the school. For the space, you can see the cafeteria would be increased by about 40% of what it has right now. And then the kitchen would gain some additional space for their function needs.
What's the thought processing for expanding the cafeteria again, Pete? Capacity?
Capacity, yeah. Yeah, that existing space is tight. There's actually an existing stage here on this end of the cafeteria that has been basically repurposed for other needs because you have a secondary stage at the gym here in the back. So we'll actually be building in some student restrooms right off the cafeteria where that stage is, so they won't have to leave the cafeteria when they need it. There is currently a restroom across the hall of the cafeteria, but it's a single occupant restroom, so this will better handle more students in the flow. What I show in yellow, those are existing classroom spaces, and I'll run through at the end of the graphics what we're doing throughout the building, but basically we will be fully renovating classroom spaces for finishes, technology, lighting, life safety, fire protection, accessibility. Those will all be addressed as part of the project. At the far end of the building, the plan is to expand, and you can see that again, that blue dotted line. We would be taking down the stair tower that is at that far end. So currently you have a two-story wing that ends right here, but on the first floor it carries over to the gym. To complete our two-story, we're infilling that section between the two high spaces to gain extra space on the second floor, and as well as renovate these classrooms down below. In the gym space, we would update that stage, so it would be your functional new stage. It'll have a handicap accessible lift there to take care of the accessibility concerns. And then, of course, the new addition would have a lobby, corridor, stair tower at the end. This is planned to have some restrooms for potentially the kindergarten classrooms. And we would have some back exiting to allow those students to go to the playground that's at the back of the school. Second floor, as I was describing, this section here is currently roof, so this would be reworked to actually give you second floor space that connects the existing second floor to the new second floor. picking up a classroom in the process. All the red rooms represent new classrooms. We'd also pick up some student restrooms in that area. Currently, there's one room down this location and one here. This would about double the capacity of those restrooms on the second floor. And then, of course, a stair tower down at the end. With the alternate consideration, we'd pick up the equivalent of about 4 classrooms with that expansion, and that would go further to meeting potential future growth in the district for programming. Otherwise, the layout would remain consistent with the rest of the building. There's our second floor with that expansion. This is a view of the existing school. Again, here's the front drop-off loop along Penview here. Existing library here, 2-story wing. With the proposed concept, we would be reskinning the building with a mixture of brick and metal panels. Window treatments naturally would be part of the considerations. A drop-off canopy here at the main entrance to create a focal point. There would also be a small canopy over where I mentioned at the gym lobby entrance. So this will basically give you a fresh look at the building when the project's finished. As far as the way we would accomplish this project, the objective is to keep the building occupied safely and in session while the work is taking place. So each of the colors represents different sections of the building and sequencing of how we would take on that work. So before I talk dates specifically, the red up at the top, that phase 2 represents basically the kitchen cafeteria portion of the work. Below that is the orange section is phase 5, which is basically the 2-story section of the building when that would be renovated. The yellow is phase 4, which is a portion of the 2-story as well as the gymnasium section, which we call the connecting link to the new addition. And that new addition is the green section there at the far bottom left. What we show in that blue, that is basically the modular classrooms. Currently on site, there are 4 classrooms in place. We would add additional classrooms there to handle the swing space needed to do the renovations as we move ahead. As you can see with the dates, if the bidding of the project proceeds here in the spring, the objective would be to start construction this summer with the modular classrooms. Proceed through the phases and complete the work by March of 2028. To walk you through that in a little more detail, phase 1 of the project would be summer of 26. Really, it would be focused on getting the additional modular classrooms in place before the school year starts, and we'd be doing some exiting work over here next to the kitchen so that once that kitchen renovation starts, we'd have a point of exit for students at that end of the building. The red represents that first phase, so we would basically shut down the cafeteria and kitchen space and renovate there, and the plan would be to take the gymnasium and use that as your temporary cafeteria, and they would basically set up their lunch serving similar to what they did, I believe, during COVID.
Can I ask a couple questions on this?
Yes.
So, and I'm just trying to remember, I know it's a different project than we've done in the past with Loomis and Culbertson. Is there any way, when did we do here's a better question. When did we do the cafeteria for those projects? Was it during the school year or was it during the summers?
So on those projects, we did them during the summer.
So my question would be, is there any way to run the modular classroom phasing and then this phasing at the same time? You know I'm getting at. So this says September to March, which is obviously more months than a summer has. So is that because this particular one will take longer than those ones did? Or is it because we have to like jump through a bunch of hoops because kids are in session and employees are there and we have to do things differently because we don't have the entire building to ourselves to do the work?
Yes, so with this portion of the building, number one, because it's at the lead end of the project, which works well in the long-term phasing of this, you have to allow a little bit of time to get the materials needed to get that constructed. And with bidding in the spring, we want to make sure that's all in place, and we would not have that by August.
Okay.
So that's the simplest,
Okay.
short answer for that. So we worked with the administration and the principal to talk about that, and they have some plans in place for what they would do during the months that gymnasium is functioning as the CAF.
Like sprinting down the hallways. Sounds great.
So a push-in model if needed, as possible. As a couple years ago, push-in of available space outdoors during the milder weather. It would be an adaptation for us, but it looks like we will maintain more green space than we thought originally. So we will be able to use that available space. We also talked about using the edge of the property. Yes. Parts of the field that aren't.
I will add, if we could look into that phasing, just to be in the better, whether it's this back end of the spring months instead of it being in the winter, we could double check that. So if the kids are using the gym, they could go outside, but we'll look into that phase, exactly when it will be, whether it's gonna be the fall or spring. Try not to be in the winter for when they have gym, it could be more
Right.
outside.
And I don't want to jump ahead too much, but are you going to talk about, so this is like a piece by piece time. Why don't I just let you continue with your presentation? I'll save this for the end. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's important, one little note about this. This is obviously, we're months away from actually being out to bid, so this isn't meant to be the final approach. So there's still time we're going to spend with administration to fine tune. So with this, this phase it's approximately a 6-month process to get this work completed. That would get us done by March of 2027. The plan would then be to open that up, and then the gym could be returned to gymnasium functions. Between the summer of '26, which would be early staking out, sort of prepping the footprint for that new classroom addition, it would begin in the summer, take approximately a year to finish that work. So that would be ongoing while the other parts of the building are occupied. And what this basically represents, in the areas not shaded, they're in use by the school as that phase is active. So come September 26, we would have construction at the cafeteria, we'd have construction at the 2-story wing, and the modular classrooms would now be completed and ready for use by the students. Between April of '27 and October of '27, again, after that kitchen is wrapped up, we would then swing over and start our renovation work of the connecting link. That's, again, about a 6-month process because of the work we have to do to create these connections. So we would then be shut down essentially from that stair tower that leads out to the mods, and this entire zone would be under construction. So we'd have a safe separation there. Modular wing with about 12 classrooms would take care of the needs of what's being taken away there. And you'd have all your functions in place. Again, gymnasium, we'd be doing some pull-out work as we just discussed. And now we're more in the spring through the summer months. When we get to summer of '27, we would basically be in full renovation of that 2-story wing, classrooms upstairs and downstairs, as well as the main office, library, boiler room, all those key functions at the center of the building. We'd be wrapping up the connecting link and still working on the 2-story as that's going. So that would be the most aggressive summer for the project. When we come to September of '27, main building is renovated and ready for school. We're still wrapping up the connecting link in the 2-story wing. Mods are still functional at that point. And as we come to completion in October of '27, this wing receives final inspections. We have occupancy. The modulars can then be vacated into the new spaces, and we would start the process of demobilizing the mods on site and removing them. The last phase of that after is then repaving that asphalt area where those mods are stationed and cleaning up the site, landscaping, all that work at the tail end in the fall of '27 and into the spring of '28. This quick overview of the site shows those key action areas: the cafeteria, classroom addition, and the modulars. This shows the drop-off area for parents and the bus loop here in the front. When that construction's underway, you can see that zone would be shut down, and as we were discussing, students would be kept out of that area while the work is active. We'd have fencing and the typical things in place to keep every area separated from where the students are. The baseball soccer field, we'd use a portion of that as lay-down space for the construction trailers, materials, and all that as they prepare to do the work on the site. Okay. And just as a general overview on the project, things that we are hitting on as we work through the build, it is intended to be a full building renovation like what's been done at the other schools. We do new roofing on the existing building, accessibility upgrades, restroom renovations, kitchen alterations, main office and health suite upgrades that we talked about. Classrooms would be getting finishes, technology as I mentioned, also things like casework, whiteboards, smart boards, all that work would be accommodated. The building has a partial sprinkler system in it now that was put in back in 2000. We'd be upgrading that and covering the entire building with that as we go through each phase of the work. Life safety system would be upgraded. The emergency generators at the building would be expanded and updated. HVAC systems in the building, temperature controls, security, clock and PA, soup to nuts, all those systems in the building. Building envelope, that's your the roof, skin of the building, we would be doing updates to that as well. And as far as the site goes, as we mentioned, we'd be relocating and updating the playgrounds at the back of the school, and then all asphalt driveways, parking lots would be milled and overlaid as part of the work, and naturally restoring the staging areas that are at the back of the school. Budgetary considerations. What we're showing here as budget 2023, that really represents where we were budget-wise on bid day in May of '23. Costs in the top 4 rows here, that represents site costs, renovations, additions, abatement activities for that $37,307,573. Below that, contingency of 5% for construction, provided the estimated construction budget, and then soft costs, which represents professional fees, building permits, land development, legal fees, all those types of costs, building permits. Modular classrooms are also part of those costs. That provides you the bottom line of round numbers $47 million. Our current budget, as you see here, budget 2026, represents the work that has been done so far to get us to where we're projecting the budget to be at about $34,932,500, which is about a $12 million adjustment. That obviously took a lot of compromises, scope reconsiderations to make those adjustments, and I can walk you through a little bit of that here on this slide. The scope, one of the major items on these adjustments was on the site itself. In the original plans that were presented extensively between 2022 and 23, there was a plan to create a connecting road between the parking on the side of the building and Highland Avenue at the back to extend the parent drop-off lines, things like that, as well as to create a separate parking lot in the front lawn of the school. A lot of that has been taken out of the project for this portion, for the plan for this project. It wouldn't prevent you from doing something like that in the future, but this basically was a way to strip the project to what is essential to get the space you need educationally ready for the building, but not do something that would prevent you in the future from considering something like that. So there, that between paving and stormwater management and the work that was done at the back, we were able to see a significant reduction in cost. For classroom size reductions, we did make, again, a decent reduction in the size of the classroom addition. That fine-tuned it more to the needs of the school. That's about a $2 million reduction in cost. We cut about 15,000 square feet of space from the classroom addition. So this, what we've presented in the 2026 budget is basically the base bid concept. Yeah. HVAC systems, we looked at ways that we could help reduce costs there. One way is because you had done a project here in 2000, not all of the systems in that building were original to the building. Some were actually naturally replaced back in 2000. So some of the main piping runs in the building, things like that, are actually still in good shape and have 20-plus years of life still left in them. So we looked at ways to maintain some of the main piping runs, also to use an outside air-cooled chiller as opposed to an indoor chiller can help us save some additional money. So that $1.2 million in round numbers is accomplished through some of those adjustments. Compared to the bids that we talked about, not proceeding with the alternate bid and the student canopy would save about $1.4 million. Maintaining the windows that were put in 2000 would save close to $1 million in cost. Roofing systems, as opposed to stripping the roof down all the way to deck and building back up again, if we maintain the existing roof but overlay that with a new 20-year warranted roof, we can save a little over $500,000 in cost, $650,000 estimate. And on the first floor of the existing building, instead of building in new accessible toilets throughout all those classrooms, we can renovate them but still provide a handicap restroom in the hallway to accommodate the same needs. So every class would still have a restroom. We just wouldn't create the large handicap restrooms in every classroom. And that's completely acceptable by code. Stage, by not building a new stage at the cafeteria addition and renovating the one at the gym, we save about $390,000. Because we are naturally a few years later, there are some increases in where those costs were in 2003. So we have an escalation of about $2 million from where the numbers were at that time. So all of that tallies to about $8.7 million in reductions with soft cost and contingency adjustments. We get to about $12 million saved on the project. So bottom line, we have a budget that we're now working with, which is the $34,932,500 budget. With that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you, Pete. Is there, so that's much more palatable number than in my opinion, than the 48 million. Is there still the ability to do alt bids with some of the, especially with like the classrooms or the connection between Highland and Penview, so that we could like see where they came in and determine, especially as the months go by, whether or not we could make that work in addition to the base bid?
So yes, you could keep the scope as part of the work. We could document it in a certain way that it could be an alternate bid.
That's what I
to
meant.
do
Like,
that
can you,
work.
like,
Yeah.
this is it, but we also have this that we can, if we said no to this, we could still move forward with the base.
Yes.
You're following along with what I
Yeah,
mean. So.
naturally, it complicates it a little bit, but not in a way that we couldn't document it
okay.
to get you separate numbers for that work at the back.
Okay. Any other thoughts, guys?
You expect that to be a budget?
That's our expectation. Yeah, we compared the bids where we were, naturally with escalation. We looked at local projects that were bidding recently to try to gauge them. It's not apples to apples all the time because every school is different and every scope is different. But yeah, we feel good about these numbers that you're going to be in this ballpark.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting too that the $47 million bid from 2023 would have exceeded that if we were to rebid it again in today's dollars. I mean, north of $50 million.
Can you give us an idea of the timeline over the next few months in terms of what you need action-wise from us to move this forward?
Yes. So on your agenda, naturally for this month is proposals to be approved for us and consultants to move ahead with the design adjustments. Getting beyond that, we would then prepare Act 34 documentation. So because this project is over 20% expansion of the existing building, you still have to follow the Act 34 of 1973 requirements. We've done, I believe, 2 Act 34s on Worrell at this point. So we would basically update that, fully document that. We have to still take it through the formulas that Plan kind of put in place years ago to track it, and we'll rework those numbers and make sure we stay in compliance. That would want us to have the board take action on the not to exceed cost that Act 34 requires at your January meeting at the end of the month, so we would provide numbers to you in advance of that. At the February meeting may be when the Act 34 hearing would then be scheduled, which we do a public presentation for that Act 34 hearing. Following that, then we would line up to put the project out to bid around the beginning of March, bid the project and look for awards there in the middle of the spring, and then start, if all goes well, we mobilize and move into construction.
Is that, like, from your vantage point, would that be the preferred timeline of how you want this to go? Like, is there any advantage to going out to bid in March versus February from, like, a cost point for us? Is February more advantageous for us?
I mean, generally in school construction, it's always better to be out as close to the new year as you can, because there's lots of small projects that might just be an aggressive summer renovation that districts are putting out in January, February. Not all of them are 2-year projects like this. So you're competing with that pool of contractors. But I believe a project like this that has a lot of off-summer work is actually attractive to contractors because they know it's going to be active in times when it's not summer. So they can have crews that are working, and keeping them employed. So while, yes, it's ideal to be out in January, putting this out in March, I don't think is going to be a problem because you're not trying to you're not trying to do much in the summer of 26, and that's on purpose. Mm-hmm. We know with this schedule, you can only do so much in that first summer with contracts, approvals of submittals and shop drawings, township interaction with all that, and getting ready for school.
I guess that's one of the things that I was trying to get at, which is well phrased, and that is there, like, in a perfect world, would you, if you had everything ready to go by June 18th, would you want to do something else during that summer besides just the modulars? Or is this, the way that you have it, the best way, regardless of timing of what we have going on over the next 8 or 9 months?
Because the kitchen and cafeteria work is aggressive enough that it can't be done in really what's a 10-week window in the summer. Even if you started in the summer, you wouldn't have finished it by September. So whether you start in the summer and finish by December, which some of our previous schedules had considered that, we'd be starting in the fall and finishing by March. So no matter what, you're going to be part of the school year without that piece.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think the phasing will be okay, you know, with the accommodation, what they have to do with their phys ed program. That's a linchpin to it, because if we couldn't do that, we'd really have to have switched our gears completely to what to do with cafeteria function. So yeah, I think your phasing and your schedule's fine. This will actually be bidding about a month earlier than what we had done back in 2023. So if we follow that schedule I outlined, I think we'll be okay.
Okay. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, everybody.
Anything else, Dave?
No, I'm sorry.
All right. Curriculum Instruction and Technology Committee, Ms. Altobelli.
Thank you, Mrs. Altobelli. I have no additions to the agenda. 5.03 is to approve a professional conference for one of our psychologists, Casey Latocha. 5.04 is to implement 2 new clubs at the high school. 5.05 has to do with 6 different student trips that we have coming up this year. And 5.06, believe it or not, it'll be here before we know it. 2026 commencement for our high school students at Villanova University. We're asking for approval of that contract with Villanova.
Were we planning on doing that in the afternoon again? That was
Yes.
well received.
It was well received.
Great. Thanks, everyone.